Okay. So I'm sorry. I'm really nervous.
I'm
Um.
nervous too, Nico. We'll be nervous together.
Okay. I have two questions.
Okay.
Actually, wait. I have three questions. Two are mine. One is from. You probably know who this is. If you don't, I'm gonna be really disappointed in you. But
Uh-oh.
Grayson, you have interacted with him a couple times.
Okay, yeah, yeah, on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay. So he wants to ask you a question, but I'll ask that later.
Okay.
Uh. So my first question is, what was it like, like working with Robert, and like, did you interact with any of like any other members of the main cast, like David or Justin, or like I don't know the rest of the people who are like the Hargreaves?
Yeah, so Robert was really great. He's just very open as a person. He's really easy to sort of immediately connect to, and he's very unassuming, but he's also just very naturally funny. So there's sort of an immediate rapport with him right from the get go. And I feel like that sort of carries into the scene, like that he is very much Klaus in a lot of ways, in terms of just that openness and being sort of eccentric. So that was sort of my first interaction, and it carried through. In terms of the other cast members, I did meet Tom. So Tom and I have a mutual friend named Bradley James, who's another actor from the UK. So he and I chatted a bit about Bradley, and but that was it really in terms of the main cast. I had briefly met Colm in the trailer as well. But yeah, otherwise, because my scenes were really with Klaus, I didn't really meet a lot of other people. I think I met Jordan briefly on set as well, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think there's a scene where like Klaus in the day that wasn't, like at the end of the episode, Klaus kind of like gets to see Dave again, and then this is not the question, by the way.
Oh
I'm just
yes, no,
like saying.
sorry. I did meet Aiden as well. Actually, I totally forgot.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we did. We
It's
did
just
meet briefly. So we did that one scene
yeah,
as well too. Because you're right, that did overlap. So,
yeah.
yes, met Aiden the one day. I was like trying to
Okay,
take mental inventory of all the days. So my bad.
yeah. All right. Um. Also, this question. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna like answer accurately because it's not like explained in the show. But what do you think happened? So Dave died in the 60s. We know that. And
Hmm.
then Klaus came back to 2019, and then he kind of like saw him again, and like then Five did a lot of things, and then they didn't see each other again. But when Klaus and Dave see each other again, did like 50 years, or I don't know how many years passed between Klaus and Dave meeting again, like in the afterlife? Like, did Dave wait for Klaus, or is it like time traveling? Like he could just like be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go to 2019 to see Klaus. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, I don't really know. I think it's how Klaus's power would work, like him bringing back someone from the dead. Um, it would be contingent on how that works, and I don't exactly know either in terms of how much time would have passed. Because I imagine, sort of in the afterlife, time might not exist the same way that exists in our world, right? So it could have been the second after Dave died that he sees Klaus again in terms of his relationship with time. Um, but I think that in line with Dave, maybe that he would have waited anyway. It's just hard to say that sort of abstract relationship with time in the afterlife of what that would look like. So I don't really know if he would have been waiting, or if it wouldn't really exist as a big gap of time for him.
I like to believe that he waited uh, all that time to see Klaus again. You know, because
Yeah,
he loved him or whatever. I don't know.
I agree. I think that even if it wasn't a lot of time, I think Dave would have waited as well.
Yeah. Um. Oh, here's a great question. Um. So they want to know what your favorite bread is.
Well, my favorite bread is.
Yeah.
um, I actually really like rye. In terms of, like, if I'm going out for, say, brunch or something, I like a good rye bread. I feel like you get some like good peanut butter on rye. I think that's it. Otherwise, I've been buying like a honey. like oatmeal honey bread as well too. Anything that's sort of seedy or grainy, I'm happy with.
Okay, thank you so much for answering my questions. If anything else, like if I want to ask anything else, I'll just speak, but probably not. I
Of
mean, I don't know.
course,
Maybe.
of course,
So
I'll be here.
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Bye.
Hello, they let me up.
Hi,
How's it going?
I'm
Yeah,
good.
like you
I'm
said
good.
earlier, this is like the first time that we've ever, I guess, encountered each other.
Dude, yeah, it's good to finally meet you. Uh,
Yeah,
it's funny, like looking at your pictures, it feels like you have interacted with the cast much more than I have. I think, well, obviously, because you had a lot more days on set.
yeah. I think it was over. I think four months, and it was like a day each month.
Oh, so it was really spread out for you.
And I guess it's like the time I spent on set might have been a little bit longer, just with the amount of lines and I guess the dialogue. But but
Hmm.
yeah, no, it was super cool. Yeah, it was very well because they would fly me in every because they were shooting, they were block shooting it, and it was it was four different episodes, and then yeah, yeah, it just happened to be one month apart on each shoot, and then I'd fly back and forth from Halifax for like the 1 or 2 days.
A
Super
day
cool.
at a time.
I did one of these with the account here. With the that was I'm super good. Anyway, I do have a question. So when you auditioned for this, it was obviously it had a comic book thing, some sort of. How did you kind of don't really know how things are going, when you're filming and stuff. But when it came out, you got this, it was a huge show for your character. How did that feel on your end? Was there things you wanted to change afterwards, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like once it's out there, it's out there. I'm learning as an actor. I don't know if you're encountering this more, but um, Christoph Waltz has this great thing that he's like, as soon as it's done, it no longer belongs to me in a way. So, I mean, obviously, as an actor, like you're gonna wanna, you always want to get better. It's sort of like an athlete looking at game tape, and you're like, I missed a block on this play or a pass or something. And so for me, there's still little moments like that, but I am getting better at just, you know, accepting the work where it is, because it is like obviously like you grow past the work as an actor, hopefully if you're really invested in this work. So it's hard to hold yourself to a standard when you've kind of moved past that a little bit. So um and it's also just like I know it had a big impact, but like I said, I was only on set for 4 days, so I didn't really have a lot of screen time to make a big impact. So I am, I think, pretty grateful for what's there. And you're right, where it's very different from the canon of the comics. um, I can only really control what I can control, and based on sort of the reactions that everyone has had, I feel really good about it. I feel good about how much this character's had an impact, and I'm obviously super surprised by it. How popular this character is, and how was that for you, sort of stepping into that? You're sort of on the flip side of it, where I didn't have anything to sort of worry about that way in terms of any shoes to fill. Like you're stepping into this role that the fans have like a very sort of near and dear relationship with. And did it affect you at all, or oh, is Calem gone? Oh no. Your audio was cutting out a little, Calem, but whenever you're back. We may have lost Calem. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if my technology has affected his technology now.
Hi, well, I guess this is a good time for me to talk.
Sneak on in. Yeah, no worries. He'll
I
come back.
have
I
like
see.
2 questions, and I
Sure.
apologize in advance. I'm really terrible at wording questions, so I might have to say it a couple times.
I feel like I'm terrible at wording answers, so we'll be in lockstep
No, you're
there.
good.
We'll be a hot mess
Uh,
together.
so my first question was, if you could play any like cliche kind of character, like a werewolf or like a vampire, what would you choose?
Cliche character. Do you mean in terms of like some sort of fantasy
Yeah, like a
race or
fantasy
something?
character. Like if you were gonna play it in a show that, oh, sorry about that. If you were gonna play it in a show that has mostly like characters that are very mainstream and like fantasy kind of characters, what kind of like fantasy character would you play?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. Huh. I mean, I play D&D, so I should know. I would yeah, it'd be fun to do something crazy like a different some sort of mythical beast like a minotaur or something like that. I've always had sort of an affinity to part animal creatures. Werewolf sounds fun too. Yeah, something
That's
in that
fun,
world.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on the world of the script, but it would be interesting to try to play with something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting.
Hmm.
And my second question was, if Dave was if Dave was part of the Umbrella Academy, what do you think his superpower would be?
Hmm. I mean, he could have like just the Care Bear love blast. The hole in his chest, he can just fire hot beams of love. I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I'm trying to think of rounding out the powers that everyone has. What would be something that's interesting? My imagination's sort of failing me now. You have super strength. You've got a relationship with the dead. You've got someone who can speak something into existence. Someone who's good with knives. I don't know. I think maybe Dave needs some sort of weird, more passive skill that's more of a support position. If he was like a Dungeons and Dragons character in this party, it would be like a healer quality.
Yeah.
Something of that ilk, I feel feels on brand for Dave.
Yeah, I feel that would fit him.
Good. It's a good way to round out the team, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had to ask, so thanks for answering.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Have a good night.
You too. Take care.